All right, let's get right into it. There's a big new player on the AI scene that we need to talk about. It's called Terminus, and it comes from a company called DeepSeek, which has really been making some serious waves with its unique approach to building AI. So, the first question everyone's asking is the obvious one. Could this actually be a new challenger to the giants, to something like GPT-4? Well, with its unique architecture and a really aggressive strategy, the answer might be yes. Let's break down what makes it such a potential threat. Here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll meet Terminus itself. Then we'll look at its performance, its absolutely game-changing price, and finally, we'll talk about the trade-offs and what's coming next. So let's dive in. Okay, so first up, let's get to know this new model. Terminus is really an evolution of what DeepSeek has been doing, but believe me, this is way more than just a simple version bump. It's really them doubling down on their core strategy. And that core strategy is something called hybrid reasoning. Now, instead of just spitting out text, Terminus acts more like an agent. It can actually use external tools, things like searching the web or executing code, to solve complex, multi-step problems. In short, it's all about doing things, not just saying things. To pull this off, Terminus basically has two different brains. For simple stuff, it kicks into chat mode, which is super fast and efficient, but it has a smaller output limit of about 8,000 tokens. And you can think of tokens as just pieces of words. But when you throw a really tough, multi-step problem at it, it switches over to reasoner mode, which can handle way bigger outputs. The cool part is, the system is smart enough to automatically send tasks to the right mode to keep everything running smoothly. So, does this whole hybrid thing actually lead to better performance? Well, yeah. The real leap forward with Terminus isn't just about raw intelligence. It's about how cleverly it uses its tools to get things done. And you can see that performance jump really clearly. There's a benchmark called BrowseComp, and it tests how well an AI can go out, navigate a live website, and pull information. The previous version scored a 30. Terminus, it jumps all the way to 38.5. I mean, that is a huge leap in its ability to use one of its most important tools, the internet. But, it's not a perfect score across the board. While Terminus got a lot better at general Q&A and some coding tests, its performance actually slipped a little bit in other areas, like a competitive programming benchmark. So what does that tell us? Well, the takeaway here is that they specifically tuned this model to be better at using tools in English, even if that meant making some small sacrifices somewhere else. Okay, now we get to what might just be the most important part of this whole story, the price. Because this is where DeepSeek is really trying to change the entire game. We've seen that it's powerful, but what's the price tag on this thing? I mean, how much would you expect to pay for a model that can seriously go head-to-head with some of the biggest names in the industry? $1.68. That's it. That's the price per million output tokens. To be perfectly clear, that is an absolutely astonishingly low number in today's market for this level of AI. And just to put that number in perspective for you, processing that same amount of text on GPT-4 costs you around $10. On Claude's top model, it's closer to $75. So at under $2, this isn't just competitive. It's a direct shot across the bow at the economics of the entire AI industry. But the crazy price is only half the story. The model is also fully open source. That means it's free for commercial use, and if you're a developer, you can host it yourself and have complete control. For anyone building things, that combination of super low cost and total freedom, you just don't get that with the big closed systems. And this massive shift is not going unnoticed. As VentureBeat put it, we're now looking at a model that matches or exceeds the performance of closed systems while being completely free to use commercially. That right there is a huge milestone for open source AI. So let's get to our final section and paint the complete picture here. What are the real-world trade-offs, and where is DeepSeek going from here? So when people actually got their hands on Terminus, the results were fascinating. It's fantastic at structured stuff, like generating all the code for a full SaaS landing page. It's pretty decent at complex prompts, like financial planning. But it gets a little mixed on more creative tasks. It actually failed to generate the code for an SVG butterfly, which is something its predecessor could do just fine. And yet, it managed to build a basic, kind of buggy, but working 3D Minecraft clone from a single prompt. That is still incredibly impressive. Now, there is one final performance factor to keep in mind. Like other AI models developed in China, Terminus is subject to state censorship. And just from a purely technical standpoint, these built-in filters can sometimes get in the way of the model's reasoning process and impact how it performs on certain types of questions. And looking ahead, DeepSeek is absolutely not slowing down. I mean, their development pace is just incredible. They released one version in August of 2024 and then launched Terminus just 1 month later. With a V4 already in the works and a new reasoning model on the horizon, it's pretty clear they are moving at breakneck speed.
So all of this really brings us to a much bigger question. When you have open source models offering top-tier performance for literally a fraction of the cost, are we watching a fundamental shift in the AI race? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.